Okay, everybody, welcome to the latest episode of All Too Real 2. My name is Michael E. Cullen II, and with me, as always, is...
It's Sesame, Spider, and Carta.
Sounds like a great name. Did you legally change it again?
Not this time, no.
Okay, good. That was kind of
I ran out of money. I can't keep doing it.
Yeah, so that's why people should, go to our Patreon or to our TeePublic and help out the show.
Yeah.
Yes. Do it.
I mean, if Alex Jones can make $800,000 a day, selling, unproven supplements, I think we're entitled to, a few bucks here and there. I think that's a fair trade.
You'd think so.
Hmm.
Yeah. Also, while I'm mentioning it, just check out all of our social media and everything at all2real2.com. I normally say that at the end of the episode, but people are probably tuned out by then, so now I'm just going to say it right up front.
Yeah, there you go.
So, anyways, today on the show, we are covering the 1979 animated TV series Spider-Woman. It aired from September 22nd of 1979 to January 5th of 1980 for one season, consisting of 16 episodes. Good old Saturday morning cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Based on the Marvel Comics character. Loosely.
Yeah, exactly. Because so, for all of the, people who are talking about, Marvel's going woke or the superhero shows are all going woke. Well, apparently they've been doing so since 1977, so it's not a new thing.
I don't know. I think it's new.
His history is awesome, and
no, it sucks.
awesome.
It sucks. We should never remember anything from the past.
Yeah, apparently, because
Never.
they specifically made this character as on purpose for that specific reason, like to give girls like their own version of Spider-Man. Like that was the actual intention behind it. And so like when they say like, oh well, they're just trying to pander to the social justice warriors. Well, apparently they were doing that since 1977. So apparently you shouldn't watch anything from Marvel since 1977, and that includes, mind you, the best Marvel film of all time, Howard the Duck. So,
yes,
gotta scrap that from your viewing list right now too. So.
I mean, that was a very woke movie.
Oh, totally. Not really. It was a weird one, but I'll give you that. There was some interspecies.
I mean, and it did, promote the expansion of respecting duck actors everywhere.
Yeah. So, by the way, you should check out our review of Howard the Duck.
Yes,
that's a good one.
So this show, from what I'm reading, was created in response to Filmation. They had an animated series called Web Woman. And actually, from what I'm understanding, is that the character of Spider-Woman was created so they could secure the copyright of the character name.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and they didn't want Web Woman to be confused with Spider-Man.
Interesting.
And so they created Spider-Woman so they could have their own feminine hero.
Interesting. But they ended up calling it Web Women anyway, so it's like
Oh no, I'm saying Marvel created Spider-Woman in response to Web Woman.
No, I understand that. I just meant that the other company, whatever, they weren't going to try to make their own version of Spider-Woman. They just call it Web Woman, I guess, or something. I don't know.
No, Web Woman came first before Spider-Woman.
Oh, gotcha.
Is what I'm saying. Yeah, so basically what happened is that Marvel created Spider-Woman in response to Web Woman. So
Oh,
yeah, she
maybe
has
that's why it feels
similar.
so
Yeah,
rushed. Yeah.
yeah. It's in Web Woman. Uh, trying to figure out. She came out a year, the same year, I think. Yeah, the TV series came out the same year. So
Wow.
so yeah, Marvel wanted to make sure that they could secure the right to their copyright, so they released Spider Woman. Yeah, so if I'm understanding this right, I might be completely wrong with this. This is just what I'm reading online, and you know how reliable online sources are.
Well, as long as you're not reading, we got
Mhm.
this covered or giant freaking robot or whatever, you
Oh,
know,
that's the only places I get my news.
well then, I don't know what to tell you then.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, because
Yeah. Yep.
they'll be saying Batgirl is actually gonna be released in
Mm-hmm.
only in small theaters or whatever, because we got
Or they just keep
some.
sharing a news story from 6 months ago over and over again like it's new.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
God,
gotta
that,
love it.
that
Anyways, what happens in this pilot episode here of Spider Woman? Not to be
it,
confused with Web Woman.
yeah, it's not Web Woman.
Mhm.
It's kind of a doozy, really. It's just weird. So they do like the
It's called Pyramids of Terror, by the way, too. So,
yeah,
yeah.
pyramids of yeah, that's the first episode, and it's kind of got like the intro going on, like telling the story, the origin, pretty much very similar. As a child, she was bit by a poisonous spider, and but then her dad, who was like I guess like worked in the laboratory, gave her some quote spider serum that was supposed to cure her, but that's what then made her have the powers. So instead of Spider giving Peter the powers, it was the serum that gave her powers, which is barely a difference. Okay, and then and it just kind of she works. She's an editor of a. It's almost like they're kind of taking like elements of Superman and stuff, and they're kind of putting it in because she's like the editor of a magazine called Justice Magazine. That's another thing too, right there. The woke people, like, oh man, like the social justice warriors are taking over Marvel. She was literally an editor of a magazine called Justice Magazine. So, okay,
Yep.
just saying, like, don't learn your history, a little bit before you start attacking people for being
Mm-hmm.
politically correct or whatever. Just pointing that out there really quick. And but that's kind of like her cover, so that and also too, so she could kind of get like leads on what's going on, so she can fight crime as Spider Woman, things like that. Pretty brilliant strategy, really. And then but we find out though that Spider Man's actually in this episode, and he apparently appears in a few episodes. So he's off in Egypt investigating something, and then it turns out that it's a trap, and he gets caught in one of like the tombs or whatever, and then one of the mummies turns to life and like finds him or whatever, and then she's got her own spider sense, and so she's seeing like images of like Spider-Man being like trapped or caught or whatever. So she realizes, and right at the same time, her photographer, who's kind of like, I guess, kind of like acts like he's her boyfriend, even though they're not a couple or whatever. But
Yeah.
like he's like taking a picture of her close to like a mummy for some kind of exhibit or whatever. But then she realizes like, oh shit, this mummy's gonna come to life, and then it does right before she's like out of reach. So the mummy's like starts like, and he's like, "Don't worry, my fair lady. I'll take care." That
Yeah, and
whole
his name is Jeff Hunt. Our main character, by the way, Spider Woman, is Jessica Drew.
yeah, Jessica Drew. So that's kind of too like Nancy Drew. Like
Yeah, that's where they got the name. It was actually
it,
it was named after the daughter of one of the creators, and the last name was taken from Nancy Drew.
it just there's a lot of like
Yeah.
these sort of like combining things, which is still pretty cool. And
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, "Don't worry, my fair lady." I mean, he doesn't say those words, but like, "I'll take care of you," because he's the man and stuff. But then he immediately gets thrown out the window, and so
Yep.
she then turns herself into Spider Woman, which is cool because so like another thing they borrowed from DC. She spins around and that's what makes her get into her like
Costume.
uniform.
Yeah.
That's what Wonder Woman did though too.
Mm-hmm.
So and Wonder Woman's DC. So
Yeah.
back then, DC and Marvel were just kind of like just blatantly copying off each other. Like
Yeah.
not
I mean, but
much.
to be fair, there's only so many different ways you can show somebody changing from one thing to
Yeah,
another.
I know.
Yeah.
I
So,
honestly, I think the phone booth Superman was probably the most creative
yeah.
stuff doing that.
I was talking earlier. My dad saw a meme on Facebook that said, a phone booth in the like 1980s or whatever, and showed a regular phone booth, and then said a phone booth today, and it showed a toilet.
Oh,
And I was thinking maybe now, like maybe on episodes of Superman and Lois or something, Superman should start changing his costume in the toilet. It would make more sense though too, because you got more privacy in a toilet than you do in a phone
do
booth. Yeah, so yeah.
exactly. There's not much privacy in a phone booth, so I don't know. And then
Hmm.
and why would it always have to be a phone booth? Why couldn't it just be somewhere private?
I think it wasn't always a phone booth. It was just one of the
Oh,
most
okay.
common. Yeah,
Maybe it's because they were trying to promote phone booths at that time as a business, so it was like a subtle way of like, hey, Superman, goes to a phone booth, so you should too, kind of, I don't know. And then probably not, but like, but
they should have made him like always change at a library or something. And then
yeah, there you
yeah.
go. It was like, oh man, Superman goes to libraries, bro. So read some stuff there, about super strength or whatever. No, and then so she saves the photographer, and then he's like, oh, where's Jessica? And she's like, oh, don't worry, I saved Jessica. She's fine too, or whatever. Blah blah blah. And then she eventually goes back into her regular clothes, and they're like, we got to go to Egypt, and they're like, what? What's in Egypt? And it's like, oh, stories is there or something like that. And then Billy, her nephew, wants to go, but he's like 12, and she's like, no, you can't come. But then he sneaks into the. Apparently, it's a really successful magazine because they have their own helicopter,
Yeah,
which is a just
which later on brings up some issues. Yeah,
like
I'll
called
tell
the
you later. Yeah.
helicopter. And then, yeah, there's some issues going on in this
Yeah.
episode. Yeah. So basically, just to like wrap to make it a little bit more concise. So what turns out is happening is that mummies aren't actually dead people; they're aliens that have just been kind of lying in like a cryo state, sort of, for like thousands of years, and that the pyramids are actually spaceships, and they were like gonna take over the world, I guess, but they had to wait a long time for some reason to do it, and like their plan was to like just turn everyone into mummies, which
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure how that's like conquering a land or a world if you just change everyone into yourself. Like I don't really know.
Well,
Like
it's
what's there to
about as
conquer?
good a plan as most Marvel things, honestly.
Well, it's like what is your like what is like okay, like I get like Genghis Khan, he's going
Yeah.
around, he's conquering people, he's like enslaving them,
Hmm.
he's not turning them into himself. Like you know what I mean? Like
Well,
so it's like
it's basically the vampire or mummy you know prerogative of doing things. Like you basically just got to change everybody into you.
I
I
guess
don't know.
that,
So
that's what they're yeah, that's what they're doing, I guess. The leader, he was like and he's like shoots off these like little I don't know what, just turns them into mummies, and then almost turned Spider-Man into one, but since he was wearing his suit, it didn't take as much or whatever, or it took longer to
yeah.
wrap into like a mummy forms, and she finally gets there. She ends up just jumping out of the helicopter at one point, and they're like, Jessica, no! And then they think she's dead, and it's like you couldn't see her get into her uniform and flying down there after
Mm.
you saw her jump out of the helicopter, bro. Like what?
They're stupid. That's why.
It was so stupid.
Mhm.
And then I'm like probably skipping over so much here, but like, and then so we find out that like the pyramids, some of them were like kind of like actually like hidden underneath the ground, so they're like rising up now too, like not just the ones that are already standing. And then I tell you what though, like the way they resolved this issue is like the dumbest thing. Like the acting is so bad from at least from the villain's perspective.
Yeah.
Like it's so like over the top. I mean, this is like a cartoon for little kids,
Well, yeah.
fine,
It
but
doesn't
like,
have to be great.
and so they find out that their power comes from the triangle pyramid shape. That's where they're generating all their power from. So then Spider Woman and Spider Man get the brilliant idea of, oh, if we just like shoot our webs into the shape of a cube, then they don't have their power anymore. It's like, what the
Yeah.
fuck? I mean, that's the dumbest idea ever. It's webs, okay? It's not like, I mean,
Yeah.
your webs are not that strong to withstand like lasers from like an alien civilization that's been like waiting for like 3,000 years to finally take control. But no, they make it into a cube shape, and then it just floats up in space. And they're like, immediately the guy accepts defeat. He's like, abort mission. They found our weakness, and it's just like, wait a minute, dude. You've been waiting for 3,000 years to like implement this plan, and like you like the first sign of any kind of resistance, you're like, all right, abort mission. It's
So
like, wow.
so the things I wanted to bring up really quick.
Sure.
Travel. Hmm. Okay. At one point, they're in Egypt. Spider-Man is in London, being attacked by the mummy guy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and she says Spider-Man needs my help, and so they get in. We need to get into the helicopter and fly to London from Egypt. A 5 hour and 20 minute flight. I looked it up from Cairo to London,
Wow.
and then later on they get into the thing of like we got to go to see this doctor in in Geneva, which is like an hour and a half flight. But it seems like they're just like walking, down the street.
I forget. So
Hmm,
how's
hmm,
Spider-Man
hmm.
getting in London? I thought he was in Egypt in the beginning, or did
He
he
was, but
escape?
then he was in London later, and then
Oh.
the mummy guy came to London because he was trying to take over the world. So he was just, going to another big city and starting
Oh,
there.
that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
And he was.
but somehow, see, I can even suspend the disbelief that this mummy, because they're an ancient, powerful mummy, they could teleport or do something from Cairo to London in less than 5 hours and 20 minutes. But a helicopter at full speed,
Yeah,
it's going to take them 5 hours and 20 minutes.
from Cairo to London.
Yes,
That actually seems kind of short. I would assume it'd be way longer than that. Wow,
yeah,
that's
but
up.
but still,
Plus two
she's having
helicopter.
this she's having her spider sense in Egypt
Hmm.
and says Spider-Man needs my help. And we see this scene where Spider-Man's being, like turned into a mummy on the side of a building in London.
Yeah, it's
And
taken
she
longer
gets
because.
into their helicopter, and I mean, my opinion, like, does it was he up there for 5 hours?
Yeah, well, I think so because they explained that like probably because of his suit and also his powers that it was taking longer for him to actually like be turned into a mummy kind of thing.
Yeah,
The guy even said like, "You can't wait forever, Spider-Man," or whatever
yeah,
type of thing. And but wait though, so they actually went to Egypt first though from America, so you got tag on that time
yeah.
as well. Um,
Yeah. Let's see how long that is.
so so that would be like a what 16-hour flight probably, you know, to Egypt.
Let me see.
from America, wherever. I'm not sure what city
Okay,
they.
like let's say from. Okay, let me see here. Let's see. America to Egypt. Flight time. Okay, let's say we're flying from Los Angeles to Egypt. That's
Okay.
16 hours and 40 minutes.
Yeah, so I figured it'd be something like that.
Yeah.
So all right, so we got
Mm-hmm.
16 hours, and then
Mm-hmm.
she's also doing some investigating work while she's in Egypt. It's not like they just landed in Egypt and immediately went to
Mm-hmm.
London. So you got to tag on at least an hour or two from there. So it's 18 hours plus 5.
Yeah, but I
So
mean, they hung out in Egypt for a little bit, and then she had her Spidey sense that told her that Spider-Man was in
yeah,
trouble because the mummy guy left.
right. But you also
Yeah,
got to take into consideration that helicopters need
fuel.
fuel
Yeah.
than planes. So how are
Mm-hmm.
they stopping for just a whole bunch of details that are not important, but they are to us. And then
They are to us, but they're not to the 9-year-old boy that was watching this in
exactly.
1979 or
But
whatever.
it's
Yeah.
important to be realistic about shows about people with spider powers. So just like how people were bitching about Captain Marvel, like, oh, it's so unrealistic, yet
Yeah.
she's super serum that can give her from the
Yeah.
tree, or but
Or, but then again, people did complain about the travel time in Miss Marvel as well. So it's like to get
oh
to
yeah, that's right. So
like how the bad guys got to Karachi like so fast too. So
yeah, that's true. And plus too,
yeah,
like in this show though too, she's got some different abilities. The Spider-Man, she doesn't have like the super strength that he does, but she can sort of fly with like her well that she can fly. And then with like her webs, but she can actually fly. It's not just like using the webs as like a way to like carry her, like she could literally just like fly.
yeah.
So
It's
that's
like
kind
they changed a lot of her stuff from the comic books.
of
The series changed Spider Woman's origin from an alienated spy to a magazine editor who got her powers after being injected with a spider serum as a child. The series did not feature her superhuman strength, which she has in the comic books, instead giving her a Spider-Man like spider sense, which she didn't have in the comics, and the ability to fly. The comics would eventually include the ability to fly. So,
okay.
yeah.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah. So yeah, there's that.
And it was just a bad episode. I mean, maybe it gets better over the
Well,
series,
and
but
my thing is compared to many shows of that era, it's pretty average. It's not like good or bad. You know what I mean? It's like
okay.
pretty much because like I grew up on these type of shows because
Yeah,
I was born in the late '70s, so I had plenty of mindless mornings watching this or watching the reruns of stuff like this. When I was a kid, so I probably watched this show too.
okay.
At some point, even though I was only like 1 or 2 when it came out, but
Right.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. It's hard to say, but yeah. Any final thoughts on it?
Yeah, there's this part at the end where they're like, "Oh my God, we thought we lost you," or something like that, and like it was like this look of like, "I'll never tell," or it was just like the
Yeah.
cheesiest like I don't know, it was just hilarious. And then I'm not even sure for Miss. Oh well, yeah, because so like Spider Man's like, thanks for saving me. Maybe we should work together sometime. Because I don't even know if he even knew that she existed.
Yeah.
Like which is kind of cool because like like how like in the Flash and stuff like that, like we know that there are like multiple speedsters. Like it's not just him, right? So like that's just common
Common
knowledge.
knowledge. Yeah.
Right. So
Even
like,
though he continued to call himself the fastest man alive for like several seasons in the opening credits.
even though there's other
Mhm.
people that are sometimes faster than he is. But
Yeah.
anyway, and then and then, and then
Mhm.
but whatever. Okay, it's okay, Barry. You want to
Mhm.
have your ego stroke. It's fine. But
Mhm.
because I'm pretty sure your stepbrother Wally was faster than you for a while, and then okay. Anyway, that's
Yeah.
all. But the point I'm making though is like, with
Your
Spider-Man, the
your
cool.
stepbrother brother-in-law.
Well, stepbrother, brother, yeah, because you're adopted, so technically you were in love with your quasi stepsister, but
Yeah.
not well because it was like a foster.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't the same thing as
I
being
know.
like,
I just like to pick at that. That's funny.
but it's kind of I mean, it is a little bit weird.
Yeah.
It's not. It's like removed a second time over.
Mhm.
Like it's not just step siblings. It's like a step sibling, I guess you would call it, or whatever. So fine, whatever, Barry. Do your thing. But like, but it's kind of cool to have, like, it's Spider-Man, like to know that there's other people out there, with similar, abilities. Which I don't know. I haven't really read much of the comics. I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
they introduce people that have similar abilities that he does, or whatever.
Yeah. But anyways, back to Spider Woman.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know. It was an interesting episode.
It was okay. It might get better,
Yeah.
throughout the season, but
Do you want to hear some
that.
reviews of the series?
Oh yeah, sure.
Okay. All right. Here's one. It just says girl power. This is from Bevo 13687 or 678, sorry. Becoming number dyslexic all of a sudden. Um July 4th of 2021. Great series with some awesome original episodes and some marvelous acting. That's the whole thing. So,
Okay.
want to hear another short one
Oh
that I
yeah,
that
sure.
I liked the headline for first, but then I read the comment.
Oh,
Live action, please. Which I was thinking earlier too. I was like, hey, they should do because like Sony has the rights to like the Spider Verse characters, and I
yeah.
think she's part of that. So that why haven't Sony made a live action Spider Woman movie yet?
Yeah.
That would do a lot better than Morbius or something. Um, the maybe not as good as Venom, but still, I don't know. But this is a 4 out of 10. It says live action, please, and this is from Mr. Rebel 80382 on
Mm.
December 24th, Christmas Eve of 2020. Okay, it says a live action movie should be made, but I'm sure Hollywood would politicize it, either uh, by blaming the evil white man or heterosexuality.
Okay. Like, all right.
My head hurt reading that.
Like what? Like I still just I don't. Like I really don't understand this like reaction. I mean, I do, but I don't at the same time.
Yeah.
Like I understand like the the fear impulse of being like replaced, and you're no longer relevant, which most of these people were never relevant to begin with, but whatever. They
Hmm.
imagine themselves at one point in their lives to be relevant, which is
Yeah.
and now they're quote being replaced by other people that have always already existed. So how how are you being replaced like when
Well, it's just
the
because they're afraid, and that by including other people and things that they're somehow going to be excluded, which doesn't make any sense. It's like
doesn't but
it's the same reason that people are upset that there's veggie sausage at Cracker Barrel,
right.
that somehow adding that to the menu means that the rest of the menu doesn't exist or something. I'm confused.
That's the thing too, is like like adding to is somehow seen as replacing, like it's the same reason why like quote gender critical feminists hate trans
Mm.
people so much because they think somehow trans people having rights takes away rights from them, and it's like human rights are not a finite resource. Like they're like it's like an intangible abstract
Mhm.
thing. Like it's not something you could touch and take. You know what I mean? Like it's not like food where there's also only so many boxes to go around. Like and you got to ration them out. Like it
So,
doesn't.
so that explains the Cracker Barrel thing. They're just worried that there's not going to be enough space for their regular sausage in the freezer or something.
I don't know. It's
I'm
not true.
joking.
It's like it's just. I know you're joking, but it's just it's like I understand like the fear impulse, but at the same time, like I don't know of any single movie or show or book that's quote
Hmm.
woke where like they literally say like the white man's the problem of the world or the
Yeah.
heterosexual people are evil and they need to be replaced by gay people. Like I never like so everything has to be like an inference from them and their own projections onto the maybe there's like one movie they saw where they blamed the white man or something and so like
Hmm.
now every show in their mind does that. I don't know, maybe
I
if
don't
I'm
either.
irritable, you know, like
Ah,
I don't know.
I don't know. It's like people getting upset because Giancarlo Esposito wants to be. He said that he would be interested in playing Professor X, and
Yeah.
he's an Italian black man. You know, so they're like,
So
you know,
people are mad at that
yeah, they're
too.
mad because he was not white. He's half
Okay,
he's half white, but he's like
but
he's
like
Italian. But yeah, still.
amazing actor, and I'm not trying to be mean here,
Hmm.
but Patrick Stewart's like almost 90 years old at this point.
Yeah.
Like at some point, I hate to say it, he's gonna die,
Hmm.
and it's gonna be sad, but
Yeah.
like you gonna have him play Professor X in perpetuity? I mean, like
No.
you know,
I mean, the only way you can do it is if you go all Peter Cushing and in Rogue One, and you recreate him
no,
CGI, and that that,
no,
that didn't turn out right. Um,
I just,
so,
I mean, he looked it looked fine visually, but I didn't like it. It just
no,
was,
it was something off. It was uncanny, and then uncanny valley.
yeah,
But yeah, I don't know. Anyways, it's just yeah, but I really would like to see a live action Spider Woman though. That'd be kind of
yeah,
cool. And,
especially
and and
since
and right now, you think with Sony trying to create their own little world, maybe they do have one in development. That would be interesting to see if they do come out with that because because you've got a character who's essentially similar in some ways to Spider-Man, except for female, that you can put out as your hero, and you don't even have to deal with making Peter Parker based content. Another thing too, I mean, like Miles Morales as the other Spider-Man, they could make a live action Miles Morales too. It's just or maybe do one where they're both in it. Something.
yeah, especially with the multiverse thing, if they're gonna go that route, and also too, like she's got a different backstory, or at least
Yeah.
several backs, where at one point she was an agent of Hydra, so that'd be kind of cool thing to explore. You know,
Well, I don't know if Sony would have rights to Hydra, so that'd be
oh, okay, I
yeah,
see,
because
gotcha.
yeah, Disney would have the rights to that. So
Oh,
yeah, so there's only certain elements that Sony has rights to. They have and like they have rights to all of the Spider-Man adjacent characters, like ones that are part of his universe, like that were created in Spider-Man comic books or are known as part of his like world.
oh my God, so that's very confusing. So Moon
Yeah, I mean,
Knight,
sure, there's
what
certain
is?
things like Moon Knight is obviously like he's a Marvel character, but it's kind of like when they had the the Fox X-Men things, and you did have two versions of Quicksilver because they both kind of had the rights to the character,
Okay,
so that's why they were able to do two different ones.
that's so weird. So, but Spider-Man did show up in a few Moon Knight comics, but what you're saying is that these characters had to originate from
Yeah,
the
it'd be like and be
Spider-Man.
associated primarily with them, like it's like because Spider-Man's probably shown up in like everybody's comic book, in the
Yeah, I think
Marvel
he
universe.
has.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. I mean, he's shown up in like Captain America and Hulk comics and stuff, from time to time too and whatnot. So yeah,
okay, that's pretty. Yeah, that's really interesting. But yeah,
yeah.
so
Hmm.
Spider-Man woman. I mean, I'd see it. I mean,
I know.
I s- I saw her uniform and stuff, or from the recent comic books, and it looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
And different. They'll probably make it where she has maybe some. Well, she already did have some different powers. She could shoot out these like venom
Hmm.
things out of her hands, which Spider-Man can't do.
Yeah.
So like, you know,
Who would be your dream casting?
who?
Yeah.
Uh, just off the top of my head, I don't know why. Probably because I've been watching um, Batman: Dark Knight Rises, but I think Anne Hathaway would probably be a good.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I'm just thinking of her. She played a good Catwoman, in my
Hmm.
opinion. So, um, but she
I
is
would go
pretty.
Selena Gomez.
Who? Selena Gomez?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know. I don't know why. Just popped in my head too. So
mean that might work too. I mean,
yeah.
I don't really
Mhm.
uh I don't think Anne Hathaway's done much though since in the past few years. I
Oh,
don't think she's been in a whole
she's
lot
done
of.
it. She's actually done a whole lot, but it's not
Oh, has
not like on a
okay.
big scale,
Oh,
But
okay.
she's constantly working. Um,
Okay.
yeah, but yeah, who knows? Hopefully they make one of those one day.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts here before we wrap things up?
No, just it's on Disney Plus the whole season.
Yeah,
So I want to check it out. I'm planning on watching some of the other episodes to see if
yeah, me
they
too.
a little bit better, if it's just gonna kind of continue to be kind of corny, whatever.
Yeah, and if you want us to cover any of the other old animated series that are on Disney Plus, let us know.
Oh,
Yeah,
I do have one more thing I wanted to say.
yeah,
Uh, you can actually post a picture probably in the notes or whatever.
yeah.
So I have like the coolest doctor in history, really.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's just like a super cool dude, and he's Turkish American. He's lived in America for most of his life, and he gave me a Turkish issue of Spider-Man. It doesn't really have a date on it, but it's called
Mm-hmm.
Örümcek Adam. And Örümcek means spider, and Adam means man, of course.
Yeah,
And it says Super Siri, so I'm guessing that might be series because it's just
yeah,
SERI. But it's got a picture of Spider-Man, kicking some dude behind him who's wearing like a blue mask that only covers like his head and his eyes. It looks like he's got some kind of
some kind of spider on his
spider.
chest. Yeah,
I'm not sure if this is like a villain that only was like from like a Turkish edition, or if this was like a regular. Um, but I sent you the picture earlier, so
yeah, yeah.
if you want to put that
I'll post it on
because
our. I can post it on our Instagram if nothing else. For the show. Yeah.
and it looks like he's
Mhm.
chasing. Anyways, yeah.
Are the
I'm working.
story? Do the stories in there look like they're like adapted from the English comic book? I mean, the American comic books, or do they?
It looks like it look in the very first image. It looks like he's wearing the black Spider-Man suit,
Oh,
and I don't really know exactly what he's saying.
yeah,
Uh, she, the woman, he's chasing after a woman. They're like flying though or something. She says, "Higher, uh, yak yakushma bana," and I think that means no, but I
yeah.
am them or I am beautiful. I
Huh.
don't know. And then
I just wonder if they're like. I mean, it's probably not easy to tell. I wonder if they're like stories that were written by American artists and
yeah,
then
I don't know.
translated, or if they were
He
written
said,
specifically for Turkish comic. I mean, audience.
yeah, I need to learn more Turkish
Yeah.
because he's saying Bendon Keddy's in there, so that's the word for cat. So I don't know if he's chasing that for like a Marvel version of Catwoman, or I don't
Well, there's
know.
Black Cat is one of his main
That might be
yeah
who he's.
characters. So yeah, that'd be interesting. Because that was
So
that was actually ironically, I mean, that was a character that at one point they were talking about having Anne Hathaway play, but then she went on to play Catwoman.
yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta learn more about what they're saying, but it looks
Oh,
like he's going after Black Cat. It looks
oh,
like
that's cool.
yeah.
Anyways, yeah, I'll definitely share that on the Instagram,
Cool.
if not in the show notes or both. So keep an eye out for that, folks. All2real2.com. You can find all the links to the Instagram and our YouTube and our Facebook and any of that good stuff. Also check out our Patreon and our T Public where you can get some cool shirts. Um, and be good to each other, folks. And remember, I love you, and Sesame loves you.
Yeah.
And bye bye.
Thanks for listening to All Too Real 2 podcast, a Cullen Park production. Produced and edited by Michael E. Cullen II. Music by Matthew Hawes. Subscribe and share the show. Visit us at cullenpark.com.